Saudi Arabia. It's a name that conjures up images of vast deserts, flowing robes, and of course, oil. But there's so much more to this country than meets the eye. Located in the Arabian Peninsula, Saudi Arabia is a place where ancient traditions meet modern aspirations. It's the birthplace of Islam, home to the two holiest cities in the Muslim world, Mecca and Medina. Every year, millions of Muslims from around the globe make the pilgrimage to Mecca, a journey that's both physically and spiritually demanding. Saudi Arabia is also a major player on the world stage. As the world's largest oil exporter, its economic influence is undeniable. But beyond the oil, Saudi Arabia is undergoing a period of rapid transformation, trying to diversify its economy and find its place in a rapidly changing world. It's a country grappling with its identity, balancing its conservative traditions with the desire for progress. It's a country with a rich history and an even more intriguing future. So buckle up, because we're about to dive deep into the heart of Saudi Arabia.
To understand Saudi Arabia today, we need to take a trip back in time. Before the skyscrapers and oil refineries, before the kingdom as we know it, there was the desert. And in this harsh, unforgiving landscape, a unique culture thrived: the Bedouin. These nomadic tribes were the heart and soul of Arabia. They roamed the desert with their camels, their lives dictated by the seasons and the search for water. The Bedouin were known for their hospitality, their strong family ties, and their deep connection to the land. Then, in the 7th century AD, everything changed. In the city of Mecca, a prophet named Muhammad received revelations that would change the course of history. Islam was born, and it spread like wildfire across the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. Mecca, the birthplace of the Prophet Muhammad, became the holiest city in Islam. Medina, where Muhammad established the first Muslim community, holds the second holiest mosque. These two cities became the spiritual center of a new world religion, drawing millions of pilgrims each year.
For centuries, Saudi Arabia was a land of desert nomads and religious pilgrimages. Then in 1938, everything changed again. Oil, the black gold, was discovered in commercial quantities. This discovery would transform Saudi Arabia from a poor desert kingdom into a global economic powerhouse. The impact of oil was swift and dramatic. Suddenly, this desert nation found itself sitting on a sea of wealth. The money from oil exports fueled rapid development. Cities grew at an astonishing pace, with modern infrastructure, skyscrapers, and all the trappings of modernity. The standard of living for many Saudis rose dramatically. Education, healthcare, and infrastructure all saw massive investment. Saudi Arabia was no longer a sleepy backwater. It was a major player on the global stage, its economy inextricably linked to the world's thirst for oil. But this newfound wealth came with its own set of challenges. Saudi Arabia became heavily reliant on oil, its economy vulnerable to fluctuations in the global oil market. The country now faces the daunting task of diversifying its economy and reducing its dependence on this finite resource.
Fast forward to the 21st century, and Saudi Arabia is at a crossroads. The world is changing, and the kingdom knows it needs to change with it. Enter Vision 2030, an ambitious plan to transform Saudi Arabia into a global investment powerhouse and a hub connecting Asia, Africa, and Europe. Launched in 2016 by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Vision 2030 is about more than just oil. It's about reducing the country's dependence on fossil fuels, diversifying the economy, and investing in sectors like tourism, technology, and renewable energy. Vision 2030 is also about modernizing Saudi society. It aims to empower women, increase employment opportunities, and create a more vibrant and dynamic culture. It's a bold plan, one that faces significant challenges, but it's a sign that Saudi Arabia is determined to chart its own course for the future.
Section 5. NEOM, a city of tomorrow rising from the sands. Imagine a city built from scratch, a technological utopia in the middle of the desert. That's the ambitious vision behind NEOM, one of the most talked about projects of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030. NEOM is not just another city, it's a bold experiment in urban design and sustainable living. Located in the northwestern corner of Saudi Arabia, this megacity is being designed to be a hub for innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship. Think flying cars, robot maids, and a giant artificial moon illuminating the night sky. NEOM is pushing the boundaries of what a city can be, attracting talent and investment from around the globe. It's a city of the future built on the promise of a diversified Saudi economy and a more sustainable future.
Section 6. Shifting Sands, Women, Society, and the Winds of Change. For decades, Saudi Arabia was known for its strict social restrictions, particularly for women. But in recent years, the winds of change have been blowing through the kingdom. One of the most significant aspects of Vision 2030 is its focus on empowering women and promoting gender equality. Women in Saudi Arabia have made remarkable strides in recent years. They are now allowed to drive, travel abroad without a male guardian's permission, and pursue careers in fields that were once off-limits. The government has also implemented reforms aimed at increasing women's participation in the workforce and closing the gender gap in education. While challenges remain, there's no doubt that Saudi women are playing an increasingly prominent role in shaping the future of their country.
Section 7, Beyond the Mosque and Oil Entertainment and the New Saudi Arabia. Remember when Saudi Arabia had no cinemas? It wasn't that long ago. But in a country once known for its strict social norms, a surprising transformation is underway: the rise of entertainment. As part of its Vision 2030 plan, Saudi Arabia is investing heavily in developing its entertainment sector. Concerts, movie theaters, amusement parks, and sporting events are popping up across the country. International artists who once shunned Saudi Arabia are now lining up to perform. The country is hosting major sporting events, from Formula One races to WWE wrestling matches. It's all part of a deliberate effort to create a more vibrant and dynamic society, attracting tourists and diversifying the economy beyond oil. Section 8. Saudi Arabia on the world stage, a balancing act of power and diplomacy. Saudi Arabia isn't just changing internally, its role in the world is also evolving. As a major oil producer and the birthplace of Islam, Saudi Arabia has always been a key player in the Middle East and beyond. The kingdom is a close ally of the United States and other Western powers, but it also maintains relationships with countries like Russia and China. This delicate balancing act reflects Saudi Arabia's strategic importance and its desire to maintain its regional influence. Saudi Arabia is also taking a more assertive stance in regional conflicts, such as the war in Yemen. This has drawn criticism from some international observers, highlighting the complex and often controversial role Saudi Arabia plays in global affairs.
Section 9. Friends and Neighbors. Navigating Regional Relationships. Saudi Arabia's foreign policy is often described as a balancing act. It's a balancing act because the region is a bit of a, powder keg. You've got rivalries, conflicts, and enough tension to power a small city. Saudi Arabia has long been at odds with Iran, its regional rival. The two countries are engaged in a kind of Cold War, vying for influence in the region. They support opposing sides in conflicts like the Syrian civil war and the war in Yemen. Then there's the issue of Israel. Saudi Arabia, like many Arab countries, has no formal diplomatic relations with Israel. But in recent years, there have been signs of a thaw in relations, driven by shared concerns about Iran's growing influence.
Section 10. Tradition and Transformation, a delicate dance on the path to progress. As Saudi Arabia charges into the future, it faces a fundamental question: how do you reconcile tradition with modernization? It's a question that's at the heart of the country's transformation. On the one hand, Saudi Arabia is deeply conservative, its identity rooted in Islamic values and traditions. On the other hand, it's a country undergoing rapid social and economic change, embracing technology and opening up to the world. This balancing act is evident everywhere you look. You see it in the skyscrapers that tower over ancient mosques, in the women driving cars while wearing traditional abayas, in the fusion of Western pop music with Arabic rhythms.
Section 11, The Road Ahead, Challenges, Opportunities and the Unfolding Story of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a country in transition, a place where the old and the new constantly collide. The road ahead is paved with both challenges and opportunities. The kingdom faces the daunting task of diversifying its economy, reducing its reliance on oil, and creating jobs for its young and growing population. It must navigate complex regional dynamics, address human rights concerns, and find a way to meet the aspirations of its citizens while preserving its cultural identity. The story of Saudi Arabia is still being written. It's a story of transformation, ambition, and the search for balance in a rapidly changing world. It's a story that will continue to captivate and intrigue us for years to come, so stay tuned because things are about to get interesting.